you're fed this lie in your teens and 20s that like you're confused into thinking that like finding somebody good and getting to know them is settling, and you got to hold out for this perfect guy that doesn't exist, and it's there's just so many tricks out there to waste your time, and all in the name of like freedom and I guess
Just remember that the original feminists in the 60s, Simone de Beauvoir and all of these fucking idiots, they explicitly they set out to destroy maternity, femininity, and everything that it meant to be a woman. And so all of the messaging, all of their memes in effect, all of their research and papers and policies and everything they ever advocated for has at its heart the desire to destroy what it means to be a mother and a wife. So every piece, because all of our institutions are totally captured by this ideology, every piece of information and every piece of advice you get from the institutions is designed to destroy maternity and motherhood and femininity, as well as masculinity, fatherhood, and patriarchy. It's meant to destroy all of that. They want to destroy all of that. In fact,
they want to be the daddy.
Well, no, they want the state to be the daddy.
Right. Government is the daddy.
The government's the daddy. And so everything that they do, everything that they tell you, everything was designed to destroy all of our traditional family roles and to just give you advice that leads you to begging for communism. If you listen to the institutions and the theories and everything around today, it's designed to move you to a point in which you're like, communism sounds like a good idea. Because if you're 45 and you don't have a man and you don't have any kids and you didn't do this shit, but you got your career and whatever, you're like, you know what, this is, I don't want to do this anymore. Let the state take over. Let the state take over. It's by design. So like, I sound like a nut job by saying this shit. But like, if you just read what they say the exact same thing. They say we need to destroy maternity, motherhood, paternity, patriarchy. We need to destroy the family. We need to destroy everything so that we can empower the state to offer childcare and offer education and to take care of the kids. I think nobody knows. Nobody knows. I'm going to rant for a second. I have lost family members, not to death, but I've been exiled. My mom's side of the family all grew up boomer, radical, 60s feminists, whatever. And they all believe that when I criticize feminism, I'm saying that women shouldn't have jobs. But what I'm saying is no, feminism is leading us to destroy the family and to lead us towards communism. But they can't break their fucking mind away from that. Do I believe women should have jobs in the vote? Yes. I say it like that. Yes. Yes, of course. But should we have preserved the idea of the family? Should we have preserved the idea of maternity and femininity? Yes. And that is what I critique. And that is what I rail against. And yet they have disowned me. They literally have disowned me. And it's coming up as a salient point for me in my personal life because we're literally planning the fucking guest list for the wedding.
Wow.
And I'm like, this whole side of the family, I'm like, well, they hate me. They hate me. They hate me. They hate me.
They all sit at one table. Far in the back, away from the bar. They sit by the bathroom. People who have
it's like $150 a head. I'm not gonna invite them.
Okay, no, yeah.
To sit at a table and be salty. No, fuck them. They don't get to come.
Yeah, and I think it almost seems like it's easier to sort of destroy women than it is men because like I do these like polls on my Twitter like, hey, single guys, like, have you given up on the idea of finding a woman, settling down, like starting a family? And really like a lot of them are still, for it, but it's almost like if this was planned, it would be easier to kind of make the women disillusioned, make them feel like they don't need men. Just be like, you're smart. You're smarter than just reproducing. Go get your degree, pay for it for the rest of your life. And I think that's why so many of these boomer women are so defensive about it because they've spent years and so much money on these degrees and these careers that's part of their identity because they've been convinced that should be their identity.
All these people are ego invested in their ideologies. That's the thing. That's why it's so difficult to dislodge any of this. Imagine how much cognitive dissonance there is in your brain if you have taken the vaccine.
Oh, yeah.
You have literally injected it into your body. how are you going to have enough emotional and intellectual stamina to reconsider what you did when what you did was, it's in you. It's in you. They're locked into their positions. But even before the vaccine stuff, they were locked into their positions anyway because their ego invested. Their identities are built around it. My identity is, well, it's a varying things, but one of them is as an American that believes in liberty and freedom and all of those things. So I'm not tied to these ideologies of like destroy men, destroy women, get your vaccine, stay inside, put your mask on, whatever. I'm not tied to that. I'm tied to something else, and I'm ego invested in that. Imagine what kind of trauma I would have to go through in order to come out the other side and be like, yeah, fuck liberty. So
Right.
these people on the other side, they're like, what kind of trauma would you have to put them through in order for them to come out on the other side and be like, yeah, fuck feminism and fuck this quarantine shit?
I think a lot of it is they're growing up, maybe they see their own mothers treated poorly by their fathers. They're sort of, well, they can't get out because they don't work, they don't have their own money. They are trapped in that way. So they see their careers, their degrees as that's your ticket to being treated better, to getting out of, bad situations, domestic abuse.
Yeah, but
It's
so
like,
this
well,
is
this
this is the same argument as saying, well, what about someone who gets raped and gets pregnant? Should they be able to get an abortion? Congratulations. We're talking about worst case scenarios, exceptions to the rule, horrible, tragic situations, and using that to shape policy. No, that's the exact same mindset that's behind, 600,000 people. Sorry, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. Out of 350 million people, it's not a lot. It's the same idea that's like, look at these worst case scenarios. We have to change all society to end these worst case scenarios. No.
it's
I'm
almost
sorry.
like, yeah, how many trans people do we really have, and should we be changing policy and institutions around such a small group of people? Not that we don't care about them, we do, but
Well, that one has been politicized because that is the final battleground for this gender ideology. If they can actually push across the finish line that there's no such thing as even masculinity or femininity, then they have won. The transgender argument for the feminists and the CRT folks and all these fucks that have been going through our institutions since the 60s, the final boss, to put it in video game terms, level 8-4 of Super Mario Brothers. There it is. Fucking trannies. How do we get the world to accept the fact that there are no such thing as masculine and feminine people inherently? That's the final problem that they need to solve, to cross over, because once they can get widespread acceptance that there's actually nothing inherent about masculinity or femininity, then they have won in their quest to destroy motherhood and fatherhood and the family. And that is why it was politicized so much after the gay marriage thing was done, which I support. And you know what, people on the right that I'm with, they'll push back on me for that, but like, I do believe that two people can decide to enter into whatever kind of contract they want to. So go for it. If your
and
church
lots of them are sick of this shit. Like, I have
right.
lesbian friends that are like, yeah, I'm being bullied into being, and that I need to call myself queer. And it's like, no, I'm an old lesbian. Like, I'm not
Right.
giving myself a new title.
Right. So the trans thing is the final boss. It's the final end, and that is why it needs to be fought over. The gay marriage thing was one, and I support that because I support people making their own decisions. If your church doesn't want to support it, I support that too. But this final thing is about destroying who we are as humans. And it's all in the same, it's in the same universe as zero COVID. It's in the same universe as no tyranny around the world. It's in the same universe as we're going to end evil and despotic regimes across the world. It's the same universe as we need to make Afghanistanis gay. It's all the same. It's all the same thought process. It's all part of this progressive mindset. It's all part of the feminist mindset.